The Book of Yashar, Chapter 1. And Elohim said, Let us make male in our image, after our likeness. And Elohim created male in his own image. And Elohim formed male from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the breath of life. And male became a living being endowed with speech. And Yahuwah said, It is not good for male to be alone. I will make an assistant for him. And Yahuwah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took away one of his ribs, and he built flesh upon it, and formed it, and brought it to Adam. And Adam awoke from his sleep, and see, a female was standing beside him. And he said, This is a bone of my bones, and it shall be called female, for it has been taken from male. And Adam called her name Hawwa, for she was the mother of all the living. And Elohim baraked them, and called their names Adam and Hawwa, and the day that he created them. And Yahuwah Elohim said, Be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the earth. And Yahuwah Elohim took Adam and his wife, and he placed them in the Garden of Eden, to tend it and to keep it. And he commanded them, and said to them, From every tree of the garden you may eat, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall certainly die. And when Elohim had baraked them and commanded them, he went from them, and Adam and his wife dwelt in the garden according to the command which Yahuwah had commanded them. And the serpent which Elohim had created with them in the eretz came to them to entice them to transgress the command of Elohim, which he had commanded them. And the serpent enticed and persuaded the female to eat from the tree of knowledge. And the female listened to the voice of the serpent, and she transgressed the word of Elohim, and took from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and she ate, and she took from it, and also gave to her husband, and he ate. And Adam and his wife transgressed the command which Elohim commanded them, and Elohim knew it. And his wrath was kindled against them, and he cursed them. And Yahuwah Elohim drove them at that day from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which they were taken. And they went and dwelt to the east of the Garden of Eden. And Adam knew his wife Hawwa, and she bore 2 banim and 3 daughters. And she called the name of the firstborn Cain, saying, I have gotten a male from Yahuwah. And the name of the other she called Habal. For she said, In worthlessness we came into the eretz, and in worthlessness we shall be taken from it. And the boys grew up, and their father gave them a possession in the land, and Cain was a tiller of the ground, and Habal a keeper of sheep. And it came to be, at the passing of a few years, that they brought an approximating offering to Yahuwah. And Cain brought from the fruit of the ground, and Habal brought from the firstlings of his flock, from the fat of it. And Elohim turned and inclined, and came to Habal with his offering. And a fire came down from Yahuwah, from the Shamayim, and consumed it. And Yahuwah did not turn to Cain and his offering, and he did not incline to it, for he had brought from the inferior fruit of the ground before Yahuwah. And Cain was jealous against his brother Habal because of this, and he sought a pretense to slay him. And then some time after, Cain and his Habal, his brother, went one day into the field to do their work, and they were both in the field, Cain tilling and plowing his ground, and Habal feeding his flock. And they passed by over that part which Cain had plowed in the ground, for this it bitterly grieved Cain. And Cain approached his brother Habal in wrath, and he said to him, What is there between you and I, that you come to dwell and bring your flock to feed in my land? And Habal answered his brother Cain, and said to him, What is there between you and I, that you should eat the flesh of my flock, and clothe yourself with their wool? And now, therefore, put off the wool of my sheep with which you have clothed yourself, and recompense me for their increase and flesh which you have eaten. And when you shall have done this, I will then go from your land, as you have said. And Cain said to his brother Habal, Indeed, if I slay you this day, who will require your blood from me? And Habal answered Cain, saying, Indeed, Elohim, who has made us and the Eretz, he will avenge my cause, and he will require my blood from you, should you slay me. For Yahweh is the judge and authority, and it is he who will repay male according to his evil, and the wicked male according to the wickedness that he may do upon the Eretz. And now, if you should slay me here, indeed, Elohim knows your secret thoughts, and will judge you for evil which you have declared to do to me this day. And when Cain heard the words which Habal his brother had spoken, see, the wrath of Cain was kindled against his brother Habal for declaring this word. And Cain hastened and rose up, and took the iron part of his plowing instrument, with which he suddenly smote his brother and slew him. And Cain spilled the blood of his brother Habal upon the Eretz, and the blood of Habal streamed upon the Eretz before his flock. And after this Cain repented having slain his brother, and he was sadly grieved, and he wept over him, and it troubled him exceedingly. And Cain rose up and dug a hole in the field, wherein he put his brother's body, and he turned the dust over it. And Yahweh knew what Cain had done to his brother, and Yahweh appeared to Cain and said to him, Where is Habal, your brother, that was with you? And Cain pretended and said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And Yahweh said to him, What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground where you have slain him. For you have slain your brother, and have pretended before me, and thought in your heart that I did not see you, nor knew all your actions. But you did this matter, and slew your brother for naught, because he spoke rightly to you. And now, therefore, cursed are you from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand, and wherein you buried him. And it shall be, when you shall till it, it shall no more give its strength as in the beginning. For the ground shall produce thorns and thistles, and you shall be moving and wandering in the Eretz until the day of your death. And at that time Cain went out from the presence of Yahweh, from the place where he was, and he went moving and wandering in the land toward the east of Edom, and he and all belonging to him. And Cain knew his wife in those days, and she conceived and bore a bond, and called his name Canuk, saying, In that time Yahweh began to give him rest and quiet in the Eretz. And at that time Cain also began to build a city, and he built the city, and he called the name of the city Canuk, according to the name of his bond. For in those days Yahweh had given him rest upon the Eretz, and he did not move about and wander as in the beginning. And Irad was born to Canuk, and Irad brought forth Mahu Yaal, and Mahu Yaal brought forth Mathusaal. Chapter 2. And it came to be in the 113th or 30th year of the height of Adam upon the Eretz that he again knew Hawwa his wife. She conceived and bore a bond in his likeness and his image, and she called his name Shat, saying, Because Elohim has appointed me another seed in the place of Habal, for Cain has slain him. And Shat lived 105 years, and he brought forth a bond, and Shat called the name of his bond Enush, saying, Because in that time the bonding of males began to multiply and to afflict their beings in their hearts by transgressing and rebelling against Elohim. And it came to be in the days of Anush that the bonding of males continued to rebel and transgress against Elohim, to increase the wrath of Yahuwah against the bonding of males. And the bonding of males went and served other mighty ones, and they forgot Yahuwah who had created them in the Eretz. And in those days the bonding of males made images of brass and iron and wood and stone, and they bowed down and served them. And every male made his mighty one, and they bowed down to them. And the bonding of males forsook Yahuwah all the days of Anush and his children, because the wrath of Yahuwah was kindled because of their works and abominations which they did in the Eretz. And Yahuwah caused the waters of the river of Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed the third part of the Eretz. However, the Banim of males did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were yet extended to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah. And in those days there was neither sowing nor reaping in the Eretz, and there was no food for the Banim of males, and the scarcity of food was very great in those days. And in the seed which they sown in those days in the ground became thorns, thistles, and briars, for from the days of Adam was this declaration concerning the Eretz, of the curse of Elohim, which he cursed the Eretz, because the crime which Adam crimed before Yahweh. And it came to be when males continued to rebel and transgress against Elohim, that to corrupt their ways, that the Eretz also became corrupt. And Anush lived 90 years, and he brought forth Canaan. And Canaan grew up, and he was 40 years old. And he became wise, and had knowledge and skill and all wisdom. And he reigned over all the Banim of males, and he led the Banim of males to wisdom and knowledge. For Canaan was a very wise male, and had understanding and all wisdom. And with his wisdom he ruled over Rukut and demons. And Canaan knew by his wisdom that Elohim would destroy the Banim of males for having crimed upon the Eretz, and that Yahuwah would in the latter days bring the waters of the flood upon them. And in those days Canaan wrote on tablets of stone what was to take place in time to come, and he put them in his treasuries. And Canaan reigned over the whole Eretz, and he turned some of his Banim of males to the service of Elohim. And when Canaan was 70 years old, he brought forth 3 Banim and 2 daughters. And these are the names of the children of Canaan. The name of the firstborn was Mahal-al-al, the second Ain-an, the third Marad. And their sisters were Adah and Zillah. These are 5 children of Canaan that were born to him. And Lamech, Ban of Matusha'al, became related to Canaan by marriage, and he took his 2 daughters for his wives. Adah conceived and bore a Ban to Lamech, and she called his name Yabal. And she again conceived and bore a Ban, and called his name Yubal. And Zillah, her sister, was barren in those days, and had no offspring. For the days of the Banim of males began to trespass against Elohim, and to transgress the commandments which he had commanded to Adam, to be fruitful and multiply in the Eretz. And some of the Banim of males caused their wives to drink a potion that would render them barren, in order that they might retain their figures, and whereby their good-looking appearance might not fade. And when the Banim of males caused some of their wives to drink, Zillah drank with them. And the childbearing females appeared abominable in the sight of their husbands as widows, while their husbands lived. To the barren ones only were they attached. And in the end of days and years, when Zillah became old, Yahuwah opened her womb, and she conceived and bore a Ban, and called his name Tubal-Cain, saying, After I had withered away, I have obtained from him the Almighty Elohim. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Naamah, for she said, After I had withered away, have I obtained pleasure and delight. And Lamech was old and advanced in years, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. And Tubal-Cain, his Ban, was leading him. And it came to be one day that Lamech went into the field, and Tubal-Cain, his Ban, was with him. And while they were walking in the field, Cain, Ban of Adam, advanced toward them. For Lamech was very old and could not see much, and Tubal-Cain, his Ban, was very young. And Tubal-Cain told his father to draw his bow. With the arrows he smote Cain, who was yet far off, and he slew him, for he appeared to them to be a beast. And the arrows entered Cain's body, although he was distant from them, and he fell to the ground and died. And Yahweh repaid Cain's evil according to his wickedness which he had done to his brother Habal, according to the word of Yahweh which he had spoken. And it came to be, when Cain had died, that Lamech and Tubal went to see the beast which they had slain, and looked, and see, Cain their grandfather was fallen dead upon the arets. And Lamech was very much grieved having done this, and clapping his hands together, he struck his son, or his bond, and caused his death. And the wives of Lamech heard what Lamech had done, and they sought to kill him. And the wives of Lamech hated him from that day, because he slew Cain and Tubal Cain. And the wives of Lamech separated from him, and would not listen to him in those days. And Lamech came to his wives, and he pressed them to listen to him about this matter. And he said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, Hear my voice, O wives of Lamech, attend to my words, for now you have thought and said that I slew a male with my wounds, and a child with my stripes, for their having done no violence. But know that I am indeed old and gray-headed, and that my eyes are heavy through age. I did this matter unknowingly. And the wives of Lamech listened to him in this matter, and they returned to him with the advice of their father Adam. But they bore no children to him from that time, knowing that Alaim's wrath was increasing in those days against the Banim males, to destroy them with the waters of the flood for their evil doings. And Mahal al Ban of Canaan, lived 65 years, and he brought forth Yerad, and Yerad lived 62 years, and he brought forth Canuk. Chapter 1 or 3. And Canuk lived 65 years, and he brought forth Mathushalah. And Canuk walked with Alaim after having brought forth Mathushalah, and he served Yahweh, and despised the evil ways of males. And the being of Canuk was bound up in the instruction of Yahweh, in knowledge and in understanding. And he wisely retired from the Banim of males, and hid himself from them for much days. And it came to be at the passing of much years, while he was serving Yahweh and palaling before him in his house, that a messenger of Yahweh called to him from the Shamayim, and he said, Here I am. And he said, Rise, go out from your house, and from the place where you hide yourself, and appear to the Banim of males, in order that you may teach them the way in which they should go, and the work which they must accomplish, to enter in the ways of Alaim. And Chanuk rose up according to the word of Yahweh, and went out from his house, from his place, and from the chamber in which he was concealed. And he went to the Banim of males, and taught them the ways of Yahweh, and at that time assembled the Banim of males, and made them known the instruction of Yahweh. And he ordered it to be proclaimed in all places where the Banim of males dwelt, saying, Where is the male who wishes to know the ways of Yahweh and good works? Let him come to Canuk. And all the Banim of males then assembled to him, for all who desired the word went to Canuk. And Canuk ruled over the Banim of males according to the word of Yahweh. They came and bowed to him, and they heard his word. And the Ruch of Alaim was upon Canuk, and he taught all his males the wisdom of Alaim and his ways. And the Banim of males served Yahweh all the days of Canuk, and they came to hear his wisdom. And all the sovereigns of the Banims of the males, both first and last, together with their princes and judges, came to Canuk when they heard of his wisdom. And they bowed down to him, and they also required of Canuk to rule over them, to which he consented. And they assembled 130 sovereigns and princes in all, and they made Canuk sovereign over them. And they were all under his power and command. And Canuk taught them wisdom, knowledge, and the ways of Elohim, and he made peace among them. And peace was throughout the Eretz during the height of Canuk. And Canuk ruled over the Banim of males 243 years, and he did right ruling and righteousness with all his people, and he led them in the ways of Yahuwah. And these are the generations of Canuk: Matu Shalah, Ali Shah, Ali Malak, 3 Banim. And their sisters were Milcah, Naamah, and Matu Shalah lived 87 years, and he brought forth Lamech. And it came to be in the 56th year of the height of Lamech, when Adam died, he was 930 years old at his death. And his 2 Banim with Canuk and Matushalah, his ban, buried him with a great ceremony, as at the burial of sovereigns, in the cave which Elohim had told him. And in that place all the Banim and males made a great mourning and weeping for the sake of Adam. It has therefore become a custom among the Banim of males to this day. And Adam died because he ate of the tree of knowledge, and he and his children after him, as Yahuwah Elohim had spoken. And it came to be in the year of Adam's death, which was the 243rd year of the reign of Canuk, at the time of Canuk resolved to separate himself from the Banim of males and to hide himself, as at first, in order to serve Yahuwah. But Canuk did so, but did not entirely hide himself from them, but kept away from the Banim of males 3 days, and then went to them for 1 day. During the 3 days that he was in his room, he palad to and praised Yahuwah his Elohim. And the day on which he went and appeared to his subjects, he taught them the ways of Yahuwah, and all they asked him about Yahuwah, he told them. And he did in this matter for much years, and afterward he concealed himself for 6 days, and appeared to his people 1 day in 7. After that, once in a month, then once in a year, until all the sovereigns and princes and the Banim males sought for him, and desired again to see the face of Canuk, and to hear his word. But they could not, as all the Banim males were greatly afraid of Canuk, and they feared to approach him because of his reverent awe that remained on his appearance. Therefore no male could look at him, fearing he might be punished and die. And all the sovereigns and princes resolved to assemble the Banim males and to come to Canuk, thinking that they might all speak to him all at the time when he should come out among them. And they did so. And the day came when Canuk came out, and they all assembled and came to him, and Canuk spoke to them with the words of Yahuwah, and he taught them wisdom and knowledge. And they bowed down before him, and they said, "May the sovereign live, may the sovereign live." And some time after, when the sovereigns and princes and the Banim males were speaking to Canuk, and Canuk was teaching them the ways of Elohim, see, a messenger of Yahuwah then called to Canuk from the Shemayim, and wanted to bring him up to the Shemayim to make him reign over the Banim of Elohim, as he had reigned over the Banim of males on the Eretz. At that time Canuk heard this, he went and assembled all the inhabitants of the Eretz, and taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them righteous instruction. And he said to them, I have been required to go up into the Shemayim. I therefore do not know the day of my going. And now, therefore, I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you how to act on the Eretz, whereby you may live. And he did so. And he taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them instruction, and he reproved them, and he placed before them laws and right rulings to do on the Eretz. And he made peace among them, and he taught them everlasting height, and dwelt with them, sometime teaching them all these matters. And at the time the Banim males were with Canuk, and Canute was speaking with them, they lifted up their eyes, and the likeness of a great horse descended from the Shemayim, and the horse paced in the air. And what they told Canute, what they had seen, and Canute said to them, "For my sake this horse has descended on the Eretz. The time is come when I must go from you, and I shall be no more seen by you." And the horse descended at that time and stood before Canute, and all the Banim of males that were with Canute saw him. And Canute then again ordered a voice to be proclaimed, saying, "Where is the male who delights to know the ways of Yahuwah his Elohim? Let him come this day to Canute before he is taken from us." And all the Banim of males assembled and came to Canute that day. And all the sovereigns of the Eretz were with their princes, and counselors remained with him that day. And Canute then taught the Banim of males wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instruction. And he instructed them to serve Yahuwah and walk in his ways all the days of their height. And when he continued to make peace among them, and it came to be after this that he rose up and rode on the horse and went out, and all the Banim of males went out after him, about 800,000 males. And they went with him one day's journey. And the second day he said to them, "Return home to your tents. Why should you go? Maybe you may die." And some of them went from him, and those that remained went 6 days' journey with him. And Canute said to them every day, "Return to your tents, lest you may die." But they were not willing to return, and they went with him. And on the 6th day some of the males remained and clung to him, and they said to him, "We will go with you to the place where you go. As Yahuwah lives, only death shall separate us." And they urged so much to go with him that he ceased speaking to them, and they went after him and would not return. And when the sovereigns returned, they caused a census to be taken in order to know the number of remaining males that went with Canute. And it came to be on the 7th day that Canute went up into the Shemayim in a whirlwind, with horses and chariots of fire. And on the 8th day all the sovereigns that had been with Canute sent to bring back the number of males that were with Canute in that place from which he went up into the Shemayim. And all those sovereigns went to the place, and they found the Eretz there filled with snow, and on the snow there were large stones of snow. One said to the other, "Come, let us break through the snow and see. Maybe the males that remained with Canute are dead, and are now under the stones of snow." And they searched, but could not find him, for he had gone up into the Shemayim. Chapter 4. And all the days that Canute lived upon the Eretz were 365 years. And when Canute had gone up into the Shemayim, all the sovereigns of the Eretz rose and took Mathushalah, his bond, and anointed him, and they caused him to reign over them in the place of his father. And Mathushalah acted uprightly in the sight of Elohim, as the father of Canute had taught him, and he likewise returned the whole of his height, and taught the Banim of males wisdom, knowledge, and the reverence of Elohim. And he did not turn from the good way either to the right or to the left. But in the latter days of Mathushalah, the Banim of males turned from Yahuwah. They corrupted the Eretz, they robbed and plundered each other, and they rebelled against Elohim, and transgressed, and they corrupted their ways, and would not listen to the voice of Mathushalah, but remained against him. And Yahuwah was exceedingly wroth against them, and Yahuwah continued to destroy the seed in those days, so that there was neither sowing nor reaping in the Eretz. For when they sowed the ground in order that they might obtain food for their support, see, thorns and thistles were produced, which they did not sow. And still the Banim of males did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were still extended to do evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And they provoked Yahuwah with their evil ways, and Yahuwah was very wroth, and was sorry that he had made males. And he thought to destroy and annihilate them, and he did so. In those days when Lamech, Ban of Mathushalah, was 160 years old. Shat, Ban of Adam, died. All the days that Shat lived were 912 years that he died. And Lamech was 180 years old when he took Ashmuah, the daughter of Alishua, Ban of Chanuk, his uncle. And she conceived, and at that time the Banima males sowed the ground, and a little food was produced. Yet the Banima males, did not turn from their evil ways, and they trespassed and rebelled against Elohim. And the wife of Lamech conceived and bore him a bond at that time, at the turn of the year. And Mathushalah called his name Noah, saying, in his days the Eretz was at rest, and free from corruption. And Lamech, his father, called his name Manaham, saying, this one shall comfort us in our works, and miserable toil in the Eretz, which Elohim had cursed. And the child grew up and was weaned, and he went in the ways of his father, Mathushalah, perfect and upright with Elohim. And all the Banima males departed from the ways of Yahweh in those days, as they multiplied upon the face of the Eretz with Banim and daughters. And they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued criming against Yahweh. And every male made for himself a mighty one, and they robbed and plundered every male his neighbor, also his relative, and they corrupted the whole Eretz. And the Eretz was filled with violence, and their judges and rulers went to the daughters of males, and took their wives by force from their husbands, according to their choice. And the Banim of males in those days took from the cattle of the Eretz, the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with another, in order to provoke Yahuwah by it. And Elohim saw the whole Eretz, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways on the Eretz, all males and all animals. And Yahuwah said, I will blot out male that I have created from the face of the Eretz, from male to the birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I am sorry that I made them. And all the males who walked in the ways of Yahuwah died in those days, before Yahuwah brought the evil upon males, which he had declared, for this was from Yahuwah, that they should not see the evil which Yahuwah spoke of concerning the Banim of males. And Noah found favor in the sight of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah chose him and his children to raise up seed from them upon the face of the whole Eretz. Chapter 5. And it came to be in the 84th year of the height of Noah that Chanuk, Ban of Shat, died. He was 905 years old at his death. And in the 179th year of the height of Noah, Canaan, Ban of Anush, died. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And the 234th year of the height of Noah, Mahal-alal, Ban of Canaan, died. And the days of Mahal-alal were 895 years, and he died. And Yarad, Ban of Mahal-alal, died in those days, and the 336th year of the height of Noah. And all the days of Yarad were 962 years, and he died. And all who followed Yahuwah died in those days before they saw the evil which Elohim declared to do on the Eretz. And after the passing of much years, in the 480th year of the height of Noah, when all those males who followed Yahuwah had died away from among the Banim of males, and only Mathushalah was left, Elohim spoke to Noah and Mathushalah, saying, Speak and proclaim to the Banim of males, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, Return from your evil ways and forsake your works, and Yahuwah will repent of the evil that he declared to do to you, so that it shall not come to pass. For thus said Yahuwah, See, I give you a period of 120 years. If you will turn to me and forsake your evil ways, then I will also turn away from the evil which I told you, and it shall not exist. And said Yahuwah. And Noah and Methuselah spoke all the words of Yahuwah to the Banim males day after day, constantly speaking to them. But the Banim males would not listen to them, nor incline their ears to their words, and they were stiff-necked. And Yahuwah granted them a period of 120 years, saying, If they will return, then Elohim will repent of the evil, so as not to destroy the Eretz. Noah, bond of Lamech, refrained from taking a wife in those days, to bring forth children, for he said, Indeed, now Elohim will destroy the Eretz. Why then shall I bring forth children? And Noah was a righteous male, and he was perfect in his generation. And Yahuwah chose him to raise up seed from his seed upon the face of the Eretz. And Yahuwah said to Noah, Take for yourself a wife, and bring forth children, for I have seen you righteous before me in this generation. And you shall raise up a seed, and your children with you, in the midst of the Eretz. And Noah went and took a wife, and he chose Naamah, the daughter of Canuk, and she was 580 years old. And Noah was 490 years old when he took Naamah for a wife. And Naamah conceived and bore a bond, and he called his name Japheth, saying, Elohim has enlarged me in the Eretz. And she conceived again and bore a bond, and he called his name Sham, saying, Elohim has made me a remnant to raise up seed in the midst of the Eretz. And Noah was 502 years old when Naamah bore Sham. And the boys grew up and went in the ways of Yahuwah, and all that Methuselah and Noah their father taught them. And Lamech the father of Noah died in those days. Yet even so he did not go with all his heart in the ways of his father, and he died in the 195th year of the height of Noah. And all the days of Lamech were 770 years, and he died. And all the Banim males who knew Yahuwah died in that year before Yahuwah brought evil upon them, for Yahuwah willed them to die, so as not to see the evil that Elohim would bring upon their brothers and relatives, as he had so declared to do. And that time Yahuwah said to Noah and Methuselah, Stand up and proclaim to the Banim males all the words that I spoke to you in those days. Maybe they will turn from their evil ways, and I will then repent of the evil and will not bring it. And Noah and Methuselah stood and spoke in the hearing of the Banim males all that Elohim had spoken concerning them. But the Banim males would not then listen, neither would they incline their ears to all the words. And it came to be after this that Yahuwah said to Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me because of their evil deeds. And see, I will destroy the Eretz. And take for yourself gopher wood, and go to a certain place, and make a large ark, and place it in that spot. And thus shall you make it, 300 amah its length, 50 amah wide, 30 amah high. And you shall make for yourself a door, open at its side, and to an amah you shall finish above, and cover it within and without with pitch. And see, I will bring the flood of the waters upon the Eretz, and all flesh be destroyed from under the Shemayim. All that is upon the Eretz shall perish. And you and your household shall go and gather to each of all living creatures, male and female, and shall bring them to the ark, and raise up a seed from them upon the Eretz, and gather unto you all food that is eaten by all the animals, that there may be food for you and for them. And you shall choose for your Banim 3 maidens from the daughters of males, and they shall be wives to your Banim. And Noah rose up, and he made the ark in the place where Elohim had commanded him. And Noah did as Elohim had ordered him. In his 595th year, Noah began to make the ark, and he made the ark in 5 years, as Yahuwah had commanded. Then Noah took 3 of the daughters of Eliakim, bond of Methuselah, for wives for his Banim, as Yahuwah had commanded Noah. And it came to be at the time of Methuselah, born of Chanuk, died. He was 960 years old at his death.